So in this short video, I'm going to try and explain why or how a dividing center line with the CL can and does act as a datum, because it's obviously not a place from which you start in the traditional sense. I think this might be contributing to some confusion. So let's put some datums in, and what I find is that sometimes it's quite difficult to find the right line to put the datum in. So I can see that one seems to be correct, but if it's not correct, select the line first. So select your line first and then put your datum in. And if these figures have changed because you've put too many in, just change them back in the left-hand side to A and B. That's capital B. And what I've done here is, just to make things shorter, I've put in the virtual shops. The virtual shops are essential. Line. Some of you will not have circles which are obviously available. What you'll need to do then is, let's just hop over to this other sheet. Let's go to this one here. You can see I've put these ones in here. Right, so they would normally not be there. The way to see them is just to click on this view, there we go, and go to your drawing display style and go to hidden lines visible. Then you can pop your center marks, if they don't go automatically, pop them onto these two shapes. I think it's putting two of them in there. I'm not sure, but I'll leave that up to you. So let's go back to this drawing. These ones don't have centers. I need to put the centers in. So I just click on, there we go. There's 1, 2, done. Right. So now to start dimensioning. What I've done here, just to show you again, remind you that I have actually removed the tangent edges, because that's the one I favor, because that, at least with the font and my font set to a center line or a dashed line, I can see that these are tangent lines. They're not lines that I must dimension. So quite usually or ordinarily, or straight from the beginning, that's what your drawing will look like. I'm going to actually, this is the better way to do it, so that now you know that those lines shouldn't be dimensioned. So what do we do here? I usually like starting from the horizontal, but you can start from the vertical as well. So you're going to go dimension, and you're going to go from the smallest dimension you can find. And these you have to be careful to select the vertical. Okay, 124. So why is that a datum? Because a datum normally goes from the datum line, which is that, to that one there, 62. This is a datum because everything that it goes across it is divided by 2. And if there were which there will be, if there were a tolerance on this of, let's say, 1 millimeter, you would be dividing the tolerance by half, and therefore you would be reducing the total tolerance. So you'd be saying the tolerance between these 2 points is only 1, instead of having potentially, if you had a tolerance even of 0.5 here, if you took the upper limit of that dimension, let's just put this one in here as well. If you took the upper limit of that dimension and the lower limit of that dimension, these two centers would shift over by 1 whole millimeter to the right. I'll explain that to you better later, but in this way, if I put in a 1 millimeter or a half millimeter even tolerance, the most they can shift over to either side is 1/4 millimeter. So you're reducing the tolerance variation by using the datum. So what this 124, by going across the center line, says that you have to measure from the center line equally in both directions and halve the tolerance. So that's why whenever something is equally shaped on either side of a center line, you must dimension across that center line. So Okay, and here I can see this is causing me problems because I've still got the tangent lines visible. So I'm going to actually get rid of all of them and say tangent. Let's do that so in some way that you can see. So tangent edge and tangent edge is removed so that I've got nothing other than what I need to dimension visible, right? So I can now just shift this. I should be able to shift it, should be able to move it by just holding this point. There you go. Right, so that's correct. And I'm not going to worry about aligning them at the moment. I can do that automatically afterwards. What do I need next? I need that one and that one. So I do need these two, which I now have not selected correctly. So that one, hold the shift button down, hold the control, go to sketch and hit that button. Okay, so I do need all of my virtual sharps here because I need to dimension across them. So that's the next, and then that would be the next one as well. And please put your dimensions away from the drawing to, so I've chosen this dimension here, 155.53. I've chosen to pull it down to the lower half instead of the top half, and that one to the top half to get as clean a drawing as possible. So the next one would be this one here, and that one. Okay, and the next one would be these top virtual sharps, which I'm going to pull out to the top. That would pretty much cover all your horizontal position dimensions. Why are they position dimensions? Because they indicate where something starts and finishes. They don't actually indicate a feature, right? The only feature within this entire shape, which is a proper size dimension, would be these two holes. Okay, so the rest would be pretty much position dimensions. So we'd need an angle between there and there, all right? And they aren't, okay? So in fact, that's a good place to put that one. Let's just make sure it's correctly aligned. All right, I may have to start that one again. I'm not going to waste time, but you can see that's the basic idea. And from here, we need to put in the vertical dimension. So here is where some people are also getting confused. You can go from here to here, but you cannot go from here to here. I mean, you can, but that's now accumulating tolerances. So let's say there was, back to our 0.5 millimeter tolerance. If there was a 0.5 millimeter tolerance on each one of these, and I took the maximum of that one, and I added it to the maximum of that one, and then added another one, a maximum, I'd get a total extreme tolerance of 1.5. Whereas if I start this one from the datum, the maximum deviation for this one is 0.5 millimeter. The maximum deviation for this one is 0.5 millimeter, and the maximum deviation for that one is 0.5 millimeter. So that's why you start from a datum, is because you're keeping the maximum deviation or the minimum, whichever applies, to a minimum. So that's what datums are for. They're to help you to get your tolerancing in line. Right, so there's actually one or two missing here. There's from here to there. We need a dimension. Okay, and another one from there to there. Now, normally I would go back on this drawing and evaluate whether I needed all of these dimensions. Pretty sure I do, but let's just... That seems... okay, the reason this is not going to dimension is because there's a slight angle on this handle. If I go to the side view, there's a 0.5 degree angle. I've kind of fudged this, that's why it won't select that as a radius. Whereas if it was a flat handle, it would select it. So I should be able to select these bottom ones. There we go. True 8. If it's not pointing to, as it should, as I want it to do, then pull it out. If it's not pointing to the dimension. You see, it won't dimension these ones here because they're both at an angle. So there's no real radius. I have to get another view to get the radius. Okay. And then this would be 1, 2. I think these are all they're all radius. So I can just say TYP. If I know that all of these going all the way around are typical. I think it's probably the same here. These are typical, so I could put it at TYP. And then really, it's so easy. Once you've got all your dimensions, you just select the whole lot. Right click and align. If you don't do this, you're losing marks. Please auto arrange. You will have to pull these ones back into line, which is not difficult. You just drag them down. If you do not auto arrange and if you do not make your drawing as readable as possible, you will be losing marks because the drawing must be legible. So make sure that you don't have dimensions sitting on top of one another like this. That's not legible. That's going to lose you marks. I'm going to say, well, that's not a dimension. I can't read it. I have to be able to read it. But I hope the rest is actually cleared up why the center line is important. And you'll notice that I'm not dimensioning. Here are some of the errors. Some people are going from a point to, or they're doing this. Okay, that's not a dimension. Nope. I've got the dimension here. That's that angle. I've got the starting and the end point. Or you going from a point to another point, which is, well, that would not be a dimension either. So if I could put a big red cross on that, going from here to here, for instance, that is not a dimension. Going from here to here is not a dimension. So any points that are not some indications of some plane are not dimensions. I mean, they're dimensions, but they're not legitimate dimensions. Hopefully that clears things up and hopefully that helps you. And I won't say have fun because you probably won't. Cheers.